Hello fellow simmers, it's Samuel Beeman at BLS here, and this is all that you need to know about the North Yorkshire Moors Railway Pickering to Grosmont route before its release. So first of all, we're going to start with probably the most important point, and that is that you require a relatively high-spec PC to run this route. It is designed with great detail and is designed for the mid to high-range spec'd PCs. If you're trying to run the route on a more low-end computer, it will not run properly and you will experience lag. So now we've got that out of the way, let's go through some of the changes for this new version of the route compared to the old version Whitby and Pickering Heritage Railway. So for starters, we got the company logo right, so we now can call it by its official name of the North Yorkshire Moors Railway instead of the Whitby and Pickering Heritage Railway as it was originally. But one of the striking features and probably most notable features that have changed is the terrain texture and the track. So starting with the terrain, so the terrain has been replaced with the West Highland Line extension terrain from the Thompson interactive route. And I think we can safely say that it is a much improvement over the bright UKTS freeware pack terrain that was used before. It now gives it a more realistic look and high definition visuals. The track itself, again, has also been replaced with the West Highland Line extension track. This was the best track available at the time we started the update, so we used that and that is what we went with. And it was really difficult, to be honest with you, because it's converting a route that was designed with 2D track and, in a sense, replacing it with 3D track. So it was really difficult to implement this because the track in most places became sunk into the ground and we had to lift all of this up and alter the terrain and stuff to fit the track, which was a very difficult operation. And we did get asked by Steam Sound Supreme if we wanted to replace the track with the VP one, but after the amount of effort that we put into altering the track work and changing the track to the West Highland one, we didn't want to go through all that effort again, so we stuck with the West Highland track for now. In the future, when we extend, who knows, we might swap it out, but for now it is stuck with the West Highland Line track, and that's what we're going for. Another thing that's worth noting with the track is audio enhancements. Steam Sound Supreme have altered the audio on the track to be realistic to the real life railway. So you'll get jointed rail in some places and welded rail in others. So you sort of get that contrast between the two, which I just think is an absolutely fantastic feature. And I think SSS have done such a grand job on that. We also have new ambient audio added into the tunnels and bridges, so you now get echoes in the tunnels and bridges as you go through them, which is something that the original route didn't have. So again, it's those kind of features, it's the little things that really do bring out the detail on the route, and we're very happy with it. Also, another thing that has been altered is the loft embankments. So the embankments are now using proper terrain embankments instead of lofts. There is some loft embankments still on the route in places, but in the most part it's using proper terrain now instead of the use of the UKTS lofts, which I think is an improvement to what it was. The foliage on the route at most part has been altered and changed. So it's now using the Midland Main Line Just Trains foliage, which obviously is more to modern standards than the standard Kuju stuff. It certainly looks more like the North Yorkshire Moors Railway as it does today. So one of the questions that we do tend to get asked as well is, are we implementing the shed at Trout Farm or adding the new crossings that have been placed around Pickering towards Newbridge? Now the answer to that is no, because we based this route between 2019 to 2021, so this was literally just before the Trout Farm carriage sheds were put in and before the crossing gates were placed around Pickering. So it was literally in the region of pretty much just when the Class 47 from the West Somerset Railway arrived, North Star, and that's basically the cut-off date from where we got up to in the means of the era that the route is based on. Another question that we tend to get quite often as well is frame rates. So, as everyone is probably aware, the original Whitby to Pickering Heritage Railway for frame rates was not that great. This was due to the overuse of 3D trees in the distance. This has now been changed. So now the 3D trees have now been replaced with 2D ones, which improves the frame rates throughout the entire route. The only place where we still get issues at is Pickering. Now, Pickering in the first version of the route was always a problem, and this is due to how it's been built. So the actual station asset and platforms itself, along with the high street, well, half of the high street, roads, housing, crossing, etc., is all one entire asset. So Andy built the whole thing in a 3D modelling software. So it's one whole massive asset. And this is part of the reason why the frame rates at Pickering are pretty poor. Because the game is trying to load in that massive asset constantly. And it is obviously going to cause frame rate reduction. And there is no way that we can fix this. There's no way that anyone could fix this no matter what you do. Pickering is always going to be that built up area. It's always going to be around 30 to 40 FPS, and you're never going to get a solid 60 FPS in Pickering. But on the plus note, Pickering has had its improvements, such as the addition of the high street, which is now complete. You now have that iconic shot of the church on the hill and a completed high street, which just looks absolutely fantastic, especially when you're like standing at the station for quite a long little while and you just want to have a look around. Pickering now has some superb detail going on with its new high street and the addition of a new Lidl building as well, which looks very smart indeed. So another addition to the route is the amount of reskins that we have. So we've got 7 reskins in total, I believe, which is 2 Class 24s, 2 Class 25s, a Class 08 Shunter, a 47 and a 37. So the 24s and 25s were given to us by Mark Thompson. He kindly donated them to the route project. And they have seen their updates. So basically, Sibylla and Helen Turner now have their 3D nameplates. So that's D5032 and D7628. They've kindly had 3D nameplates placed on there by Jordan's Railway Simulator. So well done to JRS for doing that. And yeah, they are incredibly smart. And yeah, it's great to see some reskins and content, new bits of content being added to the route to kind of add to the North Yorkshire Moors Railway experience. But probably the most anticipated piece of content coming with the route is the Green Knight model, which was originally a digital traction 4MT model from the Stainmore Railway route, and it's been heavily modified to suit the preserved example of Green Knight. And quite recently it has had a few updates. So the previous work in progress shots you have seen of it are no longer up to date, as the shed plate and numbers have been altered by JRS. This may be the final version, although we are not too sure yet because we are still not entirely happy with the shed plate and how it's sort of come out. But nonetheless, it still looks pretty fantastic. And I know that a lot of you were complaining about the original shed plate, about it being rather large. So it's been altered and sorted. If any of you guys have any feedback on the Green Knight, please let us know. And we'll refer it over to Jordan's Railway Simulator to take a look into it. In the means of scenarios, you get 11 scenarios with the route, 3 free roams and 8 standard scenarios, all based in the years 2013, 2019, and even some bonus scenarios that are based in the 90s. So you get a huge range of scenarios with the route, so there is plenty of hours of driving there and plenty of stuff that you can enjoy. It also includes some quick drive scenarios and quick drive consists. Thanks to SSS who put the work into the quick drives. You can now spawn anywhere from Pickering to Grosmont to Pickering, and pretty much travel anywhere on the route in quick drive. And the crossing is also scripted to now work in quick drives. Obviously, with the previous route, the crossing wasn't scripted to actually work properly, so quite often people would crash through the barriers on the quick drive scenarios. That is now fixed, so you can now drive pretty much anywhere around the route in quick drive and have no issues at all. So, what is the future for the route? Well, for starters, I think all of you know this one. For starters, it's the extension to Whitby. Everyone's wanted the extension to Whitby for years, and that is one of the main things that we want to do, and that is our main goal with it, is to extend down to Whitby. It's going to take a few years. I can't lie to you guys, it's not going to be a quick operation. It is going to take a few years until we extend down to Whitby, but it will be worth the wait. And you'll be able to see this just by the work that we've done on the Pickering to Grosmont section, and it can sort of give you an idea of what that Whitby section is going to look like. Other additions to the future can be updating the route to the present day, and this will be including the addition of the trout farm carriage sidings and adding the new crossings and new crossing barriers from the Pickering to Newbridge section as well. It has also been spoken about between our team that we may add the Armstrong Powerhouse signals to the Pickering area, replacing the old colour lights for the UK Pro signals that have been updated with the Armstrong Powerhouse EP, to give it a more high definition look around Pickering in the means of signals. And I think I've covered pretty much everything that you guys need to know about the route, and I just hope that you guys enjoy it from its 6 PM release. So remember guys, 6 PM and it gets released. So thank you for watching. This has been Samuel Beeman of BLS, and I hope this has been informative to you guys, and I'll see you in another video. Goodbye for now.